There's going to be a small piece that goes all the way here. There's a lot of tension, so we made that a separate piece. The rocker is going to be one, and it follows this line right around here. And then you got this piece right here, rear quarter panel number 1, and the rear quarter panel number 2. So we're going to go ahead and wipe down all the edges. We're going to go ahead and start from the rocker and then work our way up like everything else. Let's go ahead and do the edge prep. So we're going to go ahead and grab one of the squeegees. Okay, and then spray some prep, and then get really under there. And then get this edge. We're going to open up the trunk, make sure that this line is also good. We have our edge prep pretty much done. And we're going to go ahead and do the panel. I'm mostly going to be focusing on the rocker since that's my first one, but I'm going to do a really, really quick wipe down. Okay? Go ahead. We have this small little piece. The bottom part is actually fatter, and then the top part is actually skinnier. Just laying it down like this. Okay? And you'll get a really good idea of how it's going to fit. I like starting from the bottom, so go ahead and rip off just a little bit, just so you can align it into place. And then while it's aligned, you're going to go ahead and push it down. Then once you get to this point, you can go ahead and push it all the way through, and then go ahead and peel the rest, and really should just align in place. So right here, just like that. Okay. All right, now we are going to be using some more heat. And you're just going to push this in like so. Okay. So once this is set, let's go ahead and do last minute pulse heat. And we should be good. Now that we have the rocker prep and we got that first piece done, we're going to start with the second piece. So you're going to grab your magnets and make sure you get that ready. So before I get started, the main thing that you're going to be doing is we actually have a backing paper cut that signifies how much it should stick out. And right before that, there's another backing paper cut, which is what you're going to use to stick. And then after that, you can actually leave the outer part completely free so that you don't have to fold it over until the end. Once you do that, you're going to be pulling it. You're not really stretching much. You might stretch just a little bit, but you're pulling tension with using the door as your alignment point, because you want to get enough coverage all the way through here. There's going to be a lot to overlap, but there's actually a black trim underneath right here, which will actually tuck in really, really easily, and there's just a lot of space to do that. All right, you're going to go ahead, and I'm just going to, for now, just put it in place. And what I'm just doing is, it doesn't have to be, you see how far this is? Yeah, it doesn't have to be that close. You want a lot of slack because this is the area where you're going to be using to align this, okay? So let's look at this. And you can see, I'm just going to hold this down, that this lines up to this line as well. And then this right here goes right over that. And you want to check one more time right here. And actually, that lines up almost perfectly right there. So once you get to this point, you got to make sure that everything else does line up as well. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and put the magnet right there, and you're going to go ahead and peel this section. Notice how there's a slit before that. Okay, and look at this right here. Perfect. So when you do this anchoring, really focus on the top part. Don't worry too much at the bottom. And then that should be good to go. And then you can go ahead and peel the next section right here. And you're not really pulling, but you're just creating some tension. So look at this tension right here. You're going to use this line right here that's naturally there. Now use your squeegee to get all the bubbles out right here. Or not bubbles, but the air, I guess. And you can see the amount of overlap. It's a good amount, but it's not crazy amount, okay? We were able to get really good coverage And look how it goes all the way around. And I still have backing paper here. And we're gonna move that later at the last. But you can see, because there was this backing paper, that's your rough outline of how much edge should actually protrude out. There is a lot of edge compared to anywhere else, mainly because this area is really dirty, so we wanted a lot of material to cover all the way in. So without focusing too much at the bottom, we're gonna go ahead and keep moving on. All right, so one thing I wanna explain too before we move on is you want to get this little notch right here, right to the fender, okay? That's really the goal that you're trying to get to, just so you understand, okay? So when you pull, right now, if I pull, I'm about 1/4 inch away from it. So you're not stretching a whole lot, but gradually, this is such a long piece, you're gonna naturally stretch it anyway. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So to make it easier, I want you to roll it up like this, right? We already have it anchored on the adhesive side. And this is far easier. So just go ahead and roll it up, and then go ahead and remove this second piece. I guess it's third by now. And watch this, I'm holding the backing paper part. I'm not holding the vinyl, because what happens if you hold the vinyl? You stretch the wrong areas. So again, you're not really stretching, but you're creating all that tension right there. And then go ahead and use the line. There's a body line right here. You see this right here? That's what you're using. You're not even worrying about anything below that. Okay? All right, same thing here. You're gonna continue this process right here and continue to pull this. I like anchoring it just like that. That's all I need to do. I really don't need anything more than that. Go ahead and do the next section right here, which is right here. And I'm getting close. And look at this. I'm already really, really close. Okay? So once I get to this point, right, this is about how I want it. Because on the top part right here, you don't want it right to the edge like this. Right, because you can see all that. You want it slightly above. So what I like to do is I like to align it to the fender. Okay, but I'm focusing on this so that this is right at the fender. Okay. Boom. And then I got one more piece right here. I removed it from here, and look at this. It just fits at this point. We're gonna go ahead and get all this. All right, look at all that coverage. So this looks really, really good. So look at this right here. It goes right to the fender. You can see I'm slightly short at the end, and that's totally normal because there's a pull tab at the end as well. And here's why. Once you have the pull tab, all you're wanting to do is you really want to go in the bottom part, okay? The bottom part is going to be really important. But you want to stretch it until you're getting good enough coverage to cover all of that, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and anchor that real quick. And like I said, if you're in a really cold area, you might have to use a little bit of heat. But right now, I was still able to cold stretch it. And look at this coverage right now that I'm getting, okay? So before I fully anchor it, I want to make sure I remove the last piece, because once you fully anchor it, it's going to be really, really hard to remove this last piece. There you go. And then, because we created that tension right here, you can see that I have very few fingers that's coming out. And it just overlaps the other piece that we first did earlier. And there's zero issues with it going down. Look at that. We consider this line right here like a channel, right? Air is going to sit there from time to time, so you want to make sure you really push that out, okay? So I got my wrap glove over here. You're just going to go start from the middle and just want to use your thumb and just push it out. Now that we have that done, we're going to go ahead and use our squeegee again. I'm going to start from the middle. I like starting from the middle right here. And you're just going to hold it down and just work your way down. Because of all the tension that you provided with your stretch, or a little bit of that pulling, it literally lays down like this. It's naturally wanting to kind of curl into place. What I do though is I hold it to provide a little bit more tension, right? And then there's a lot of tension right here. So then this is where I can push it all the way down. You can see there's another channel right there. Okay, now I'm gonna start going into some fingers, but that's pretty minor. And then I could use some heat in that area. Sweet. Remember I said there's a lot of space to put all this? Look at all that space. So you can essentially just kind of go underneath like that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and continue. There's another channel here. So notice how I'm using my wrap glove. And then go ahead and do the other side. So this is laying down really, really easy. One tip, let's say you went a little bit lower at the bottom and you have a lot of material to pull. What I like using is I like using this little chiseler. You're gonna face the flat part up. You're gonna insert it in an entry point, and once you get to an area that have a lot of materials, you can literally pull this, pull it down like this. Right? It'll pull down the material, and then you could get your other squeegee and push all that material. We started here, we're gonna go ahead and finish that out, and then I'll show you how to finish the top. Look at this. This little backing paper, it makes it so easy. And again, this is a loose alignment, but we felt like this helps a lot. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and heat it. And gradually work your way, okay? Once you get to this corner right here, you could hook this area. And start folding it over, okay? Just like that. One thing to note is there's gonna be some rough areas in the metal right there, so just be careful when you're putting your finger right there. We're gonna go ahead and post heat everything before we seal the rest of it. We're gonna just work our way from right to left. So all the edges are good. You could open it up, but I'm gonna go ahead and start by just starting in the middle. You always wanna do the edges like this first as well, right? The beauty about this right now is that it's not really sticking anywhere to the door. So it makes it really easy to just push it down like this. You wanna start with the edge because the edges like to hold a lot of that bubble or the air right in there. So look at this, really, really good coverage. And then just work your way. Same thing, go all the way through with your finger first. Okay, and then start from the center. You could also open the door, but I find it just as easy to do it like this. So there we go. So now let's talk about this corner. All right, it actually goes slightly up right to the fender. You go and heat that up. Use your finger, just push it in. And then use the hard part of your squeegee. You're gonna mold that corner, and look how clean that corner looks right there. It's perfect. Now we're gonna go ahead and do these edges. And here's the thing, there's just not a lot of space right there between the fender and the rocker, right? Obviously you could loosen it up, but we don't want you to do that. That's why we put a little bit less material than we would right over here, okay? So once you fold it in though, look at this. The coverage is really good, where from the top down, you really won't see any of the previous color as well. So we're gonna do one more post heating right here around the edges. I think that looks really, really good. And then if you want to go back to some of the inner areas, you can open up the door and inspect it. But that pretty much sums up the rocker. And then now we're ready to lay the rear quarter panel.